I received a bouquet of red roses with a card that read, "To the love of my life. Come back soon from your mission. Annie." Except, I was home and single. The mission ended 3 months ago with my final transfer to Fort Hood. At first, I thought it was a mistake, but then I saw the card. On the back, taped with clear tape, was a photo. Me in uniform. Only, it wasn't exactly a picture I remembered taking. The face was mine. The tired look, too. But the background was blurred with a fake filter and a pathetic caption. War Zone Hero. Lonely, but hopeful. It wasn't my account. I had never posted anything like that. I grabbed my phone, searched her name, Annie R. Collins, and found her TikTok in seconds. Pinned at the top was a video. She was crying, holding her phone, reading a message out loud. "Annie, you're the light at the end of my tunnel. When I'm stuck on this godforsaken base, it's your voice that keeps me going. I'm so close to coming home. I just need the bank to unlock the transfer. Any help will be paid back the moment I step foot in the US." The camera shook. She looked at the screen with red eyes and said, "He's a soldier, a hero. How could I say no to that? His name? Logan Hayes. His face? Mine." It felt like being punched in the chest, from the inside. That's when it clicked. My name is Logan Hayes. I'm 41 years old. I served 18 of those years in the US Army, 3 tours in Afghanistan, a permanent injury in my left leg, and a scar you won't see in any photo, the one you get from trusting your own blood. Annie thought she was talking to an American soldier on a dangerous mission. She sent flowers to my home, thinking it was his military base, and she made 3 digital payments of $5,000 each to help with the flight and clearance. I checked the account info. It was a number I recognized. My cousin, Kyle Hayes. Same last name, same address for years. The guy who looked after my house while I was overseas. It was him. He used my photos, my words, my uniform, and worse, my stories. I started remembering the nights I came back home and told him what I'd lived through. He'd listen carefully and say, "You should write a book, man." Instead, he built a catalog of romance scams. He took my life story and turned it into bait. For lonely women, vulnerable, craving love and respect. So I created a bait profile. Fake name, Danielle King. Widow, nurse, 2 kids. Simple profile photo captioned, "Life is a battle, but I still believe in love." 48 hours later, he took the bait. "Hi, Danielle. I saw your profile and, I don't know, something moved me. I'm on a mission, but something told me to try. Do you believe in fate?" Same script, same half smile, same uniform, same request for financial help hidden in romantic small talk. Every message hit harder than the last. A phrase I had once said during a Christmas call while still in the desert. Sometimes what keeps me awake is picturing my mom waiting for me at the airport. The world may be falling apart, but that hug can rebuild anyone. That was my voice. He had recorded it. He used my past as a script. My pain became scam material. My image, a product. And the worst part? The medal. In the fake profile photo, he was wearing the medal I received during Operation Red Dagger, the one they gave. My mom after Sergeant Ellis died covering my 6. A private photo taken in my backyard. Only existed because Kyle had snapped it without me noticing on some random Sunday. I wanted to rage, but I didn't. I took a deep breath, shut down all my socials, changed the locks on the house, reset all shared access, Wi-Fi, alarm system, smart gate. And I started recording. Every profile he created, every woman he tricked, every message, every voice note, every fake good morning sent with my face. He could have used any name, any face, but he chose mine. Maybe because he knew I wouldn't react like the others. And he was right. I didn't scream, I didn't confront, I just sat down, wrote it all down, and started building what he least expected. A comeback with names, social security numbers, and digital proof. It all started with a charity live stream. A woman named Tara tagged me in a video, thanking me for the emotional support during her son's leukemia treatment. She smiled, tearful, holding a card with the same signature. From your Captain Logan Hayes. Only, I was never a captain. And I had never met that woman. I started pulling the thread, writing down names, dates, profiles, and I realized he wasn't using just one fake account. He had at least 4 different identities: Logan Hayes, Nick Carter, Brian Lewis, and even a fake colonel named James Warner, all using my face with small variations in age, rank, and military background. The pattern was always the same. Emotional. Approach. Lonely women, usually moms or widows, with discreet profiles. Quick, deep connection. He introduced himself as a widower or divorcee, claiming to be on deployment and tired of being alone. Hard life story. He used real parts. Of my life, the loss of Sergeant Ellis, the PTSD, even my dog's name, Bear. Temporary financial request. Always the same excuse. The Army system had blocked his accounts because he was off base, and he needed help to speed up his return. In every case, he used the same digital wallet linked to an email, carestrategiesemail.com. KH. Kyle Hayes. But what really hurt me was discovering he used my house as the background in his photos. Pictures taken in my backyard, in my kitchen. One even in front of the fireplace I built with my dad before he died. On TikTok, he posted short videos with voiceovers about resilience, faith, and discipline, using my voice, distorted by AI. Phrases I used to say to him during late nights when the pain from deployment came back, and all I wanted was for someone to listen, Izzy. Account grew. Over 22,000 followers. Women commenting things like, "You're the definition of a real man, and if you ever come to Ohio, I'll be waiting with hot coffee." And he replied as if he were me, with emojis, with hearts, with a steady voice. 1. Follower named Lacey posted a video crying. She had sent him nearly $12,000 in 4 months, sold her car, canceled her health insurance, and proudly showed off the shirt she received in the mail that read, "Proud Army Wife." When I checked the sender on the package, guess what? It was registered under Kyle Hayes Consulting LLC. He had created a company to sell patriotic merchandise. Shirts, mugs, hats, all printed with phrases pulled from my old letters. An emotional, financial, and symbolic scam. And he did it all with a calm face, like it was nothing. When I confronted him using an old voice message pretending to be a potential customer, he replied, "Dude, if you knew how badly these women need to believe in someone, I just give them what they want. It's not a scam, it's outsourced affection." That's when he revealed himself completely. A manipulator, with charm, no guilt. Deep down, he didn't use my image because it was easier. He used it because it worked. Because I never responded to provocation. Because he thought I wouldn't fight back. But he forgot one thing. While he was selling my honor, I was gathering evidence, screenshots, videos, transfers, invoices, all tied to a systematic digital fraud operation with victims in at least 5 states. And now I knew what to do. No noise, no warning. He didn't know it, but every like, every heart emoji he sent was already being tracked. Not out of rage, not out of pride, but because I know war, and I know exactly when a counterattack begins. The first step wasn't installing cameras. It was paying for his breakfast with the same card he used for his scams, a prepaid card, in the name of Caleb H. When he asked me to grab him a snack, I picked up the wallet he forgot on the couch. I paid with his card, and I waited. In less than 30 minutes, I got the statement in my email, because I also had access to the system of the company I sold before returning from the Army. One of the tools I had left active monitored transactions, linked to suspicious digital accounts. All I had to do was cross-check the card name with the database I helped develop. The system recognized the transaction pattern, micro-transfers in sequence at specific times. A common pattern in romance: scams, access tracked, profile linked, geolocation confirmed. I didn't have to install anything. I just let him keep moving. Only now, every step he took triggered an alert directly to me. I called James Collier, my old friend, and now a lawyer specializing in cybercrimes. We met in the Army, but he went deeper into the technical side. Explained everything. He listened quietly, then said, "He's not just a scammer, he's a repeat offender. That makes it a federal aggravating factor. I want this to be a big case, James, and I want justice to come from above, not from my hands." Then you need more than evidence. You need to prove he built a system. James connected me to a civilian investigator who worked with victims of emotional fraud. His name was Mark Bennett, and he was discreet, the type who doesn't leave a trace, not even on a plastic cup. He had already been tracking 3 separate reports, all with the same pattern: deployed soldier. Similar name, identical script. When Mark saw Kyle's photo, he simply said, "So that's the face behind the soap opera. It was more than a digital scam. It was an emotional assembly line." Mark pulled shipping records, caps, shirts, even fake medals mailed through. USPS using my face and quotes copied from my old letters. The sender? A micro company registered in Georgia with a pathetic name, Patriot Hearts Inc. legal representative. Kyle Hayes. I started studying the texts he posted on the profiles, repetitions, emotional triggers, script sequences, and I built something we call an emotional map, a chart tracking the frequency and content of the most commonly used manipulative phrases. Week 1. You are my peace in the middle of chaos. Week 2. I'd come back today just to see you smile. Week 3. If I disappear, it's because the base cut communications. Promise you'll wait for me? And in week 4, like clockwork, came the financial request. It was a pattern. It was emotional engineering. And it was a crime. My final move was subtler. I created a fake ebook, How to Invest in Love, a guide to relationships with deployed soldiers. Signed by a fake therapist, Dr. Andrew Connors, supposedly, helping widows and single moms protect themselves from online scams. I spread the PDF in support groups on Facebook. Fake profiles downloaded it. The content had phrases identical to the ones Kyle used. I planted a trap at the bottom. Bonus phrase to break down emotional defenses. You don't need to understand war. Just hold my hand when I come back. 2 days later, Kyle sent that exact phrase to a woman named Selena M. from Michigan. Confirmed. He fell into his own pattern. I didn't have to plant evidence. I gathered it. Clean, legal, and definitive. While he kept living the life of a digital hero. I was organizing every step of his downfall, and he had no idea that hidden within every word he typed, there was already one more fingerprint. Mine. What seemed like an isolated scam took on a new dimension. Monday afternoon when I got a call from a New York number. "Mr. Hayes, this is Prosecutor Michelle Granger. We've received a cross report involving 5 different victims in 3 states. All of them mention your name, your uniform, and the same manipulation pattern." I told her everything. She listened silently, then said, "This isn't just a digital fraud case anymore. This could be a criminal organization." I sent her the full dossier. Within 48 hours, she got back to me with a list that made the ground disappear from under my feet. Kyle wasn't acting alone. There was a whole operation behind him, involving 2 other names: Brian Tuck, a suspended insurance broker, and Megan Sanders, a former legal assistant with prior emotional fraud charges. Brian handled the legalization of shipments and ghost accounts. Megan provided communication consulting. She edited the videos, refined the texts, and coached Kyle on what to say, how to respond, and when to appear vulnerable. Together, they had created an emotional franchise using fake profiles of soldiers with real faces like mine. Early Tuesday morning, I opened an old email that had landed in my spam folder. It was from a woman named Irene H., sent 2 weeks earlier. Subject: If it's really you, just tell me I'm alive for nothing. The body of the email read, I don't want money. I don't want apologies. I just want to know if you remember what you said when I told you about my son. If you don't, then it was never you. I read it 3 times. She was broken, and she thought I was the one who shattered her. I closed the laptop, and for the first time in weeks, I let myself feel. I opened an old box in the closet, photos of me with Sergeant Ellis, letters he wrote to his mother, voice recordings of us laughing on bad days. I played one of the audios I hadn't listened to in years. It was Ellis saying, "If I'm ever gone, promise me you'll still be the kind of man who doesn't need to raise his voice to do the right thing." I had promised, and until then, I hadn't kept it. I went down to the garage. In the corner was the cabinet we built during our off days. On top, our wood tools, and inside, my old uniform, the same one that had shown up in over 20 fake profiles without me ever knowing. I touched the fabric, not out of nostalgia, but to remember who I was before all this. The betrayal didn't hit like thunder. It came like anesthesia wearing off, slow, sharp, irreversible. I returned to the computer, listed every name, state, and account involved. With James and Prosecutor Granger, we put together a multi-state legal protocol. I submitted documents, screenshots, reports, and prepared what would be the final move. But before anything else, I needed one last step. I entered one of the fake support groups Megan had created, a closed group for wives of deployed soldiers. I used a neutral, silent profile, just observing. Inside, I saw a video that made my stomach drop. Kyle, live. Wearing a shirt that said, "Fight for her, die for love." Behind him, a frame holding my medal, the same one they gave my mother at Ellis's funeral. He smiled and said, "Some people don't understand long-distance love, but you do, and that's enough for me." While he slept in the room I built with my own hands, the trap was already closed, and every one of his lies now had a name, a timestamp, and a countdown. The first notification came at 7:43 a.m. Military influencer accused of leading emotional scam network with victims across 6 states. And the photo? Kyle's face, captured from the live stream he did last week. The same one where he wore my medal and thanked viewers for their prayers while on deployment. The article mentioned unauthorized use of a real veteran's image and referenced an ongoing investigation with names withheld. But I knew that from this point forward, everything would escalate. 2 hours later, Prosecutor Michelle Granger released the official indictment. The document was 47 pages long. My name appeared 19 times, as a reference, as a victim, and as a collaborator. On page 3 was the line that made me close my eyes for a moment. Hayes used verified data, emotional language, and authentic military imagery to simulate romantic relationships for financial exploitation. The false identity was constructed using real records from veteran Logan M. Hayes without his consent. I didn't have to leave the house. His downfall unfolded exactly as it should have: public, undeniable, and backed by evidence. At 3 p.m., Kyle was served. Not handcuffed yet, but surrounded by notifications, links, comments, and people recognizing his name on the street. A video went viral: Kyle in a parking lot, confronted by a blonde woman in sunglasses. "You're not the hero you claim to be. You used the face of a real man to lie to dozens of women." He tried to laugh, but his voice cracked, and the camera held on him for 3 long seconds before he turned away and walked off without saying a word. In the closed group Megan used to coordinate the scams, panic erupted. Screenshots leaked. Names were cross-referenced. His internal nickname in the chat? Alpha Ghost. But now the ghost had a face and a federal case number. James, my attorney, sent the full case file to the FBI. Prosecutor Granger brought in the Department of Defense, since Kyle had used insignias and fake military rank, a federal offense, even if he had never worn the uniform. The most symbolic moment came at 6 p.m. on Twitter. A quiet veteran is a dangerous veteran. Maximum. Respect Logan Hayes. I was tagged over 1,000 times that night, and I didn't reply to a single one. I just watched. I watched every woman he deceived be named with dignity. I watched every phrase he stole become hard evidence. I watched my silence turn into justice. I used his name for one thing only, the case file. 2 months later, I sold the house. Not out of anger, but because walking through the same rooms he used to fool so many people was like stepping through an emotional minefield. I moved to a modest cabin near Asheville, North Carolina. No luxury, just the essentials. Tools, strong, coffee, and a dog named Ranger I adopted from a local shelter. Scar on his ear. Cautious eyes, but loyal like no other. Once a week, I get a letter or message from a woman who found out the truth too late. The one that stuck with me most came from Irene, the woman from the email. She wrote it by hand. Simple envelope, no return address, but what it said is still taped to my fridge. I don't know if I'll ever trust again, but knowing it wasn't you, that someone like you exists, gives me one chance. Just one. And sometimes that's enough. I placed the letter between a photo of me with Ellis and an image of my folded uniform. Not as a trophy, but as a reminder, silence can save too. I never wanted fame, never wanted a stage. But today, when someone recognizes me because of the story, I simply say, I wasn't the one who won. It was the truth that had patience. Justice didn't give me back everything I lost, but it gave me one certainty. I didn't reclaim everything. He stole, but I made sure he'll never touch anything true again.